Back together again, eh?
Yeah.
Let's play.
On this podcast, we've talked multiple times about the 90s indie wave. The film festival circuit began to be used to scout new talent. Video cameras and filmmaking technology had become much more widely available, and there were many aspiring filmmakers who were eager to try to get spotted. A whole generation of filmmakers came out of Sundance Film Festival. These filmmakers would make an initial project on the cheap that would get a whole bunch of buzz on the film festival circuit, and then a larger production company would buy the distribution rights. Some examples included Kevin Smith, Wes Anderson, Jim Jarmusch, Quentin Tarantino, and Robert Rodriguez, who we're going to be talking about tonight. After making a short film called Bedhead in 1990, which earned him a spot in the University of Texas at Austin, Robert Rodriguez made his first feature-length film on a $7,000 budget.
It's not short at all. It's plenty of, I'm only using a few frames because it's an action sequence, so you only need a very small amount of film. That one cable that's tied around the pole right there, we put up, fastened it from that pole to a telephone pole across the street. And then what he does is slide across this with a homemade pulley device that we had a local blacksmith make us for $12 US. We tested it in Carlos's backyard.
Action!
Now you recognize this guy here. He's one of the bad guys in the movie. Instead of having a film crew, I would just use my actors. I mean, they're just standing around anyway. So he was helping me by pulling me in the wheelchair as I got this shot of Carlos going overhead. We're actually just waiting for our bus to arrive. Here's our bus. What I did was I got all the way down the street with a zoom lens.
Just this amount of money was a struggle to get, and Rodriguez raised half of it by being part of clinical drug testing experiments. El Mariachi was made for $1,700 less than the $9,000 that Rodriguez had planned on. Probably the first indie film to ever be under budget. Rodriguez took it to film festivals and used the $7,000 price tag as part of the marketing.
What do I care?
It would give it more style, more class to the place. This for almost nothing. My living comes mostly from tips.
El Mariachi was premiered at the Sundance Film Festival in 1993, which was the same year that Wes Anderson made his debut with the short film Bottle Rocket. Rodriguez intended to try to sell El Mariachi to Latino straight-to-video distributors. However, it was bigger film distribution companies who ended up being interested in it.
If you're interested in making a movie, go make one, but make it cheap. Make it dirt cheap. Refuse to spend any money and see how much you can do with your creativity. So many people come up to me and tell me, oh yeah, I made this movie. We got it in for under, $200,000, but our investors we don't know what we're going to do with it. And it's such a big production when you make a big production out of it. Don't. You can have a lot of fun and do some really cool stuff with just, in your backyard with a few toys. And that's it. Good luck.
Carlos Gallardo, Rodriguez's friend, starred as El Mariachi, produced, and was the unit production manager. Columbia Pictures ended up liking El Mariachi and spent an additional $200,000 on post-production work, including transferring the prints to film. Even at this early stage, Rodriguez's trademarks, like the quick cuts incredibly stylistic violence, and comedy mixed with action was already apparent. He'd go on to stamp his name on them in movies like Sin City. El Mariachi became the lowest budgeted film to ever gross $1 million at the box office. With that success, Robert Rodriguez began working on a sequel to El Mariachi. Tonight, we're going to be talking about Robert Rodriguez's Desperado. Rodriguez got a $7 million budget from Columbia Pictures to continue his trilogy. That allowed him to get stars like Antonio Banderas, Steve Buscemi, Cheech Marin, and Danny Trejo, and his friend, Quentin Tarantino.
The reason I had to be so prepared on this movie was because at this time, Hong Kong action movies were the best action movies in the world. Movies like The Killer and Hard Boiled had over 120-day shooting schedules. This movie, I was only going to have 38, so I couldn't be screwing around. I had to really know exactly what I was going to be doing, have all my shots chosen ahead of time, because for this particular sequence, we only had 2.5 days to get everything.
I'm just looking for work.
There's no work here.
Is there something to drink?
To make it look like we had more time, you had to have it planned out, and shooting on video, as you'll see, is what really nailed it for us. Antonio really gets into the action.
Wait. Slow down.
Antonio is just a natural. That's why we didn't even bother to get a stunt double for him. We came up with stunts that he could do himself because he's just so athletic and energetic.
Antonio Banderas replaced Carlos Gallardo, who still served as Robert Rodriguez's co-producer and made a cameo in the film. After losing the love of his life, El Mariachi is on a mission to get revenge on the drug dealers and gangsters who were responsible for killing her and shooting his hand. All of the footage from El Mariachi of the hand being shot was reshot frame by frame with Antonio Banderas standing in. Desperado was also the breakout role for Salma Hayek.
That rocks.
In the unknown time period between El Mariachi and Desperado, El Mariachi has become a fearsome legend, wandering Mexico and killing drug dealers and gangsters. One by one, El Mariachi has hunted down the people who work with Moco, the gringo drug lord who shot his hand. The last one, maybe, so he says, Bucho, is located in a small city, Ciudad Acuña, near the Mexican border. El Mariachi is now joined by Steve Buscemi, apparently playing himself, but not as an actor, as a sidekick.
And in walks the biggest Mexican I have ever seen. Big as shit. Just walks right in like he owns the place. Now, nobody knew quite what to make of him, or quite what to think. But there he was, and in he walked. It was dark, too.
El Mariachi still has the case of guns that he acquired in the original film. In El Mariachi, he is a simple musician who is mistaken for a violent criminal named Azul. In Desperado, El Mariachi appears to have become that ruthless criminal in his search for revenge. Bucho has the entire town, or so it seems, working for his drug empire. Salma Hayek's Carolina and a young boy that El Mariachi meets in the street are both part of it. Quentin Tarantino makes a cameo as a gringo who has come to the bar in town to score drugs. The two would go on to collaborate with Dusk Till Dawn, Grindhouse, and would trade off work in future films like Sin City and Kill Bill Volume 2. This much larger budget allowed Rodriguez to fully embrace his trademark style. Although brutally violent, the violence is stylistic and often comedic. There are rampant explosions, large gunfights, and the fact that the violence is so clearly over the top takes away from some of the brutality and makes it more palatable. Rodriguez would go on to take this into the highest possible gear with Machete and Machete Kills later on. Although $7 million was an infinitely larger sum than the $7,000 that he made El Mariachi for, Desperado would go on to gross $58 million at the box office, showing once again that Robert Rodriguez was a great investment.
Watching this is, young man, you got a bet. You guys okay? Here we go. Pulls out his thing. He's looking at the glass, man. He's thinking about the glass. He's thinking about the glass. He's thinking about the glass. Thinking about his dick. Dick glass. Be the glass. Dick glass. And then he lets it rip.
Anyway, before I introduce the panel, let me say, please like this video and subscribe to the Movie Night Extravaganza YouTube channel. Also, we are now monetized, so if you have any pressing questions during this live show, send us a super chat. We are absolutely obligated by international law, human rights law, to answer it. We also have a Patreon, patreon.com/movie night extra. All of our after parties are available on there forever. Okay, let me introduce the panel. Conan Neutron, co-host of Movie Night Extravaganza, host of Protonic Reversal, and frontman for Conan Neutron and the Secret Friends. Right now, Conan is working on Caterwaul 2023. Caterwaul Music Festival is going to be in Minneapolis from May 26th to 29th. Tickets are on sale now at caterwaul.org. Jan World, illustrator, book cover artist, comic designer, and artist for Give Them an Argument, co-host of Movie Night Extravaganza and Bad Takes. Raygun Busch is an avid film fan, logging everything on Letterboxd, a composer, and the vocalist for the band Chat Pile, which will be performing at Caterwaul on Sunday, May 28th. I, of course, am your Mexican dive bartender, Forrest Miller. Please make some noise for the most violent mariachi band this side of the Rio Grande.
You're the Cheech Marin of podcasting. You really are. People are saying it more and more.
The bartender never gets killed.
Randy, welcome to the show, man. Good to have you.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
I should point out that playing Caterwaul is not a prerequisite to coming on the show, but it happened to work out that you guys are, and I'm really happy that you are.
It looked like you had the old poster up, though. Didn't have Chapo on there.
I know. That's true. That's a good point. We got to find his producer on that.
Yeah, I should have updated it. I didn't.
No worries. I'm just kidding.
He's gonna walk, but no worries. Yeah.
It's wild that we're doing this on Danny Trejo's birthday.
Yeah.
What a coincidence.
So happy birthday, Danny Trejo. I know you're watching.
Well, he's a big fan. He tunes in every week. I always forget to go to Trejo's Tacos. Is that the name of it?
Yeah, I think that's
LA.
it.
And I remember like right after I leave LA, basically. I've never been there all year. I mean, I have tacos every time. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, not those specific tacos.
I was watching
just to get a T-shirt.
Oh, there you go.
I was watching a clip of Robert Rodriguez. Like, I was watching one of those talks he gave, and he claims that his entire filmmaking career has just been about making sure that like Danny Trejo's like a big enough celebrity that he could have made the Machete films.
Right.
He's like, well, I kept making these projects. Just I just expected that one day I was going to be able to like make a vehicle for Danny Trejo. So I mean,
his second cousin, by the way.
The man plays the long game. Is that true? He's second cousins with the.
They found out on the set of Desperado that they're second cousins.
That's fun.
Wow. All right.
Did they get the guy from PBS, the Finding Your Roots show, to come onto the set of Desperado?
No, it was like the Mexican version of it, though. He shows up and he's just like, "Ay,
Finding Your
caramba!"
Wow. Okay. Well, we're off to a flying start, everybody. This is my favorite of the trilogy. I guess you would call it by a pretty large margin. And I had my expectations raised way too high for Once Upon a Time in Mexico, which I like. And I think El Mariachi is it's a great movie. It's incredible. Like, oh, here's what you can do with like almost no money whatsoever. Example. But this, I think, is the most fully realized. And talent, too. Yes. Good, yes. Good addendum. But this is, I think, the most fully realized of those ones. And it hits everything exactly right. And I find this movie very enjoyable. And I'm glad.
Which I'll say that El Mariachi also is kind of fascinating because they expected to just recast it and then kind of have a studio make like a version that's more like this, where they had a budget and either another director made a version of it or Robert Rodriguez did, and then that just didn't happen because people were like, no, this is pretty cool, like I'm down with this. So it's kind of, I mean, for the fact that it's like a movie that was just kind of a vehicle that he wanted to put into Sundance to like get funding to make something more like this, that he was kind of
it accidentally got Evil Deaded too, which was a different situation. But
that's the best comparison for sure.
Yeah.
I always think about Evil Dead 2 being sort of kind of a remake, kind of a retcon sequel. Yeah.
You get like first 10 minutes is sort of like, all right, here's how we're making this a sequel. Here's basically the entire first movie, but like better production values.
Yeah.
It's very funny to watch them back to back though. and his like his friend that's just like his co-producer on all of his projects is just playing El Mariachi, and then you flip right to fucking is Antonio Banderas, like
at the peak of his power too. Banderas is like
sexy, like long haired, like charisma all in there. You're like, oh man, like your friend Carlos never fucking stood a chance.
It's no offense to Carlos Gallardo, who was fantastic in El Mariachi. Like this is peak Antonio Banderas. I mean, there's a reason why like he became like an action star for a while.
Yeah, because I think this is the first thing he did after his big breakout role, which was Interview with the Vampire, if I remember correctly. Like
Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down was that was pretty popular amongst the art house circuit, but as far as mainstream,
and same thing with that ballroom movie he did.
Right.
Yeah.
But this is, I mean, it's kind of hard. Oh, go ahead, Andy. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's just like he was like this figure off to the side that people knew about, but not a star. And then everybody finally got to see him in Interview with a Vampire, and it was like, we like this.
Oh, that guy fucks. Okay.
His American debut is Philadelphia, I believe.
That sounds right.
He's Tom Hanks's lover, or you know what I mean. He's in that movie. But yeah, he was a star in Spain before he came.
He was like
America.
a soap opera guy, I think, if I remember correctly, right? Yeah, but he's in that.
He did a Madonna music video too.
Yeah, but it's kind of hard to explain exactly why in the zeitgeist Desperado hit so hard. But in the American mainstream, there were not a lot of movies like this. Now, we say that now, and there's like a John Wick or John Wick-ish movie like every 5 minutes, it seems like. But this hit at exactly the right time where you have Banderas. Andy already disagrees with me. Fantastic. You have Banderas and Hayek both getting both superstars getting introduced to like a new audience. And then again, you have Robert Rodriguez, who's like, absolutely positively bringing something incredibly special to on the American side of things, like a relatively tired genre, and his own words paying homage to Hong Kong cinema, and it hit hard and it made a lot of money and made a lot of money because a lot of people went and saw it. So this was a film that like it was everywhere, and I happen to be lucky enough. The one and only film class I ever took in the half a semester of junior college I took before I dropped out. They showed El Mariachi because this was coming out. So I actually saw El Mariachi before Desperado, and it was like right at the right time for me too, where I was like, oh wow, that's amazing, because I was almost more impressed by El Mariachi in some ways, but it was like kind of opened up the pathways, like when you see Night of the Living Dead or something for the first time. Like, wow, these guys just did it. Nobody like stopped them. They just went and made a movie,
It's also Tarantino right in between, doing his guest starring role right in between making Reservoir Dogs and making Pulp Fiction. I mean, obviously by the time this came out, Pulp Fiction had already come out a year earlier, but he was as Robert Rodriguez says, he was Mr. Reservoir Dogs, and
Reservoir Dogs was so huge, and like just getting the like, yeah man, from Quentin Tarantino at that time. That would accounted for a lot, but everything else cumulatively just was like perfect storm for this film.
Yeah, it was also like I remember like Quentin Tarantino was like this name batted around to even as a star to like make your movie better, like Destiny Turns on the Radio, which don't watch, but I'm just noting it here.
Let the record show. Enter into the record. Yeah, exactly.
Well, the next thing they both go on to, work on, one of the next projects, a year after this, is From Dusk Till Dawn. And so it's like, it's right before they're like, hey,
rocks.
They were about to begin a, like fucking couple decades long collaborative path through this project, really, because he had just met Tarantino at Sundance. By the way, I want to say, what's up, Christina?
Randy, Christina's usually on our show, but she's in the chat giving us a super chat for some reason.
What's up, Christina? Yeah.
So we love and miss it. She's our Salma Hayek, really.
Truly.
Two screens came and crashed together the first time she was.
I I forgot
That's
how
such
much
a
I
good-
love that scene. That
The
scene,
movie has a lot of jokes, like a lot of good
Yeah.
jokes and stuff. Yeah, that's like that's funny, man. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, she's so hot. These two dudes crash their cars into each other.
yeah.
Great.
And
And
Peter,
it
she looks
doesn't
behind her.
matter.
He looks behind her
It's
and
just
laughs, like
Yeah.
as if every time she goes outside for 5 seconds that happens.
Common occurrence. Sure, why not? I mean, like, you know, it's. I love it. It's one of the best introductions for a character I've ever seen. You know, it's up there with Tokyo Drifter. You know.
Mhm.
And the best part is like the you know, like a lot of times movies struggle with the tonality of humor, you know, bringing humor into things. But this is effortless. Like it naturally kind of glides. I know there's a, you know, going back to Hong Kong films, there's a lot of Jet Li comedies, which are like just struggle with that tone, and they're not good, people. I've watched a lot of them.
Not great.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, it's this kind of I think both Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez have kind of this effortless you know, bringing kind of either humor or like, you know, common dialogue, I guess, into filmmaking. And I feel like the reason that they've gotten along so well in their collaborations, like their many collaborations, is that they share kind of this unique and like sporadic filmmaking style.
Mhm. I mean, I was 11 when this came out, so this just is imprinted into my brain as the coolest movie that it was ever made, maybe. And I actually think
facts.
I feel like the 3 coolest movies of the 90s are Pulp Fiction, this movie, and then the movie they made together, From Dusk Till Dawn, which I think it just has some juice that
There's a
other
strong
movies
case for
don't
that.
have.
I back that. Yeah.
You know, I mean, even from the same filmmakers, they never quite reach. There's some like level of cool, I guess, that is in these movies. It's pretty undeniable and just
Like I
wonderful.
like the Sun City, Jesus Christ, Sin City movies.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think they're very interesting, but it hits different. Like it hits way different.
Oh,
And,
absolutely.
you know,
Yeah.
and this is undeniably cool, and this is definitely like that era, like cool, and that's in the proper application of the word cool.
It has real squibs and stuff too, which like I noticed. I think he did French Connection style, where they just spray blood instead of like having a
Yeah.
scene that like there's just a quick shot of blood being sprayed on somebody, like in the French Connection.
Like the Tom Savini style too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they fired blood capsules, I guess, for a while too, which is awesome. So like instead of it being a blank, it'd be like a paintball, but be blood, which I think is amazing.
All that liquid is so tactile, you know. Like I mean, we've lost so much by doing things digitally, you know.
I don't.
Even
I,
Rodriguez
yeah.
himself has obviously
Yeah.
like.
And it doesn't look as cool, and it doesn't have that same impact. That's what the thing all these murder movies, it just all seems like video games because of that to me.
Right.
These days.
I feel like when they do it practically, they can't. Like John Wick kills like I don't know 1,000 people every movie. You know,
Yeah.
like you got to like kind of plan it out and have certain things be extra badass. Like so, the bar fight shootout has like 4 to 5 just amazing like moments where the guy's flying back and gets shot. The fan. The part I love. I mean, the part when they slide across the bar with guns to each other and both click, and then that whole sequence. I mean, that's what movies are all about, in my opinion. I mean,
Yeah, man. And I know it's just like dudes being like, yeah, that is cool, but it is cool. That's the reason why we're saying it's cool.
I feel like anyone, all ages, could enjoy that. You know, I don't know. It's a lot of fun.
Well,
maybe not all ages. Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
We'll leave the kids out of it, but
You know
yeah, I
what
hear
I'm
what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying, yeah.
You know, I did watch it once when my one of my kids was like really small. It was like you know, having to sleep on me, and you know, they thought it was, they slipped right through it. They thought it was great. So you know,
All right.
yeah,
There you go.
for all ages.
For all ages. You heard it here first, folks. In the comments, Fight Club is very cool too, but so dark it went past a lot of people's heads. I agree with that. I think Fight Club, unfortunately, by it just being deified by people that did not understand any part of the social satire involved, kind of weakens that film's legacy. But I do like Fight Club. But I also feel like that was like slightly later, but close enough for. I guess it's before 9/11. That's for sure.
Yeah, 90. It's like 99, I must say.
Yeah.
I don't love it. I don't love Chuck Palahniuk personally, but
Okay, well,
it's okay.
your own. I think that this is I'm a big plot guy. I'm a big heavily scripted plot and turns and narrative functions and this and that and the other. And this is a great example of a movie that can just slide on vibes. Because if you stop and think about this story, it's like,
How did he not know it was his brother he was hunting?
Right? You didn't have a clue.
It's so confusing to have the guy from part 1 shoot his hand too. It's like, why? Yeah. I mean, but it just wouldn't make sense for him to be surprised at the end. It just still doesn't make sense. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, and there's other things as well that you just have to okay, so there's no police force apparently in this town.
Well, I mean, it's Mexico. We can get away.
But it's Mexico.
I'm
so
sure the Board of Tourism in Mexico loves this movie. Yes.
Exactly. But the thing is, it works because you have moments like you have him sitting down with the kid and showing him guitar, and then he can't do it because his hand's been shot from the first movie. So it works on a feel level, on a vibe level. That you're like, oh yeah, that does suck. I see why you'd be pissed about that. They took away everything that you are, and you buy it. Whereas sometimes there's these over involved backstories for characters, and you're just like, I don't care. I don't care about this. Move on to something else. And I kind of think it works for the vibe of this style of movie too. There's just that's what's happening, and he's got the charisma to pull it off. That is just cool as hell. I mean, that's all there is to it, right?
The board of tourism in Mexico actually did get pissed off about Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
I believe it. Honestly,
they were supposed to borrow all of these all of this military equipment, and once they saw what they were actually doing with the plot, they're like, "Oh no, we're not lending you anything."
I mean, Rodriguez is an American; he's a Texan.
He also doesn't speak. He also didn't speak Spanish up until when he made El Mariachi. Right. He made it in Spanish, but didn't speak Spanish. So it's kind of funny when you look at the the words in it, I guess, and it's kind of very facile Spanish.
But look at Sergio Leone, right? I mean, in those movies, you had principal actors that weren't speaking the same language, right? They were all freaking. There's talking whatever language you're in, doesn't matter. We'll dub it in later. I'm like, wow, okay. But those movies rule, and it rules for the same sort of reason. Where, again, good, bad, and the ugly, right? That scene where it's just literally 3 dudes staring at each other. And the music is intensified, and music intensifies. And we've talked about this before with the what's on the French Connection episode? I can't remember. We talked about this one before, but it's one of the best scenes because it's somehow that tense even when nobody's saying a goddamn word, right? And that's a perfect example of this type of cinema that you can pull something like that off if you have the right people.
You don't really need words when you have a Mexican standoff going on. I guess everybody's kind of has
we get it, yeah. we understand.
You could have people speak 3 languages that have never that can't communicate with each other at all, and they're like, well, we know that all of us have guns.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess truly the Mexican standoff is the international language.
It's the Mexican standoff is my love language, actually. Randy, when did you see this first? Because I know when Andy and I did.
I mean,
when it came out,
95 maybe. It was on HBO. 96. Well, it came out in 95, so probably 96, maybe even 97. But I think I saw.
So you saw it pretty early on. Okay.
I rented it. I didn't get to see it in theaters, sadly. But this was a movie that this one, and I don't know if you guys know the movie Nemesis, which is another American-made movie that's very Hong Kong inspired. But just seeing those trailers, I was just as a little kid, fuck, I've got to see this movie, it looks so cool. And Desperado, I don't know, I had it taped. Me and my friend like with our cellos, we would pretend to be the guys with the guitar cases.
Oh yeah,
and stuff.
that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, like this movie has just been a big part of my life ever since it came out. Like, I mean, I remember seeing the trailers and being hyped on it and watching it as soon as I could. Essentially, I was QT pilled hard back then. So
my mom used to have me carry in her guitar and accordion to places because she would go to like nursing homes and play for old people. And but she stopped having me carry her guitar case when I kept like dropping to one leg and throwing it up on my shoulder like a rocket.
Tried to shoot a rocket launcher out of it.
Yeah. It is awesome when he does that. I mean, it's
so cool, and it makes no sense whatsoever.
And the guy with the machine guns, it's like it'd be way better if you had a regular gun, man. But like he's like shooting with
whatever,
his guitar cases. Still cool.
But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all.
By just shaking it like that.
Yeah,
I feel like
exactly.
somebody,
he reloads. Yeah,
does somebody like surf on a guitar case and Once Upon a Time in Mexico? I feel like there's like moment where he like surfs through an explosion on his guitar case. Anyway,
I think like down a staircase.
Yeah. That's what it is. Yeah,
it's a lot of fun.
No, and it's the physics of like these weapons and like how they do. It's like there's no. You can't do that. Actually, the physics, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, "Shut up, nerd!" Like it's that whole scene is arguably that whole battle is completely unnecessary, and like both of the other mariachis like fucking get got in it, but like it's worth it just to it's like this one's shooting a rocket launcher now out of it. Okay, sure, why not? There's guns in there. Why can't there be a rocket launcher?
Totally.
Why not?
Did you guys notice that one of the guys that he calls in, which he calls them in like you're supposed to know that he has these two friends that
it's just like he's got these buddies there.
It's like I've watched this is the first time I've watched Desperado, but I've watched like El Mariachi and tried to get into it before and like not expected I expected something more like From Dusk Till Dawn or something, and then I was like what am I watching, like when I was way younger, and but like they don't build any of the story onto it besides the fact that he has a guitar case full of guns. Like that's the only and he used to be a mariachi. Those are the only things that they really carry over with them. So like half of me like expected like maybe his two friends were like in the first movie. Nope, there's no. But one of the two friends.
I thought for years.
One of the two friends is Carlos, the guy that originally played El Mariachi.
They played the actor. Yeah. But also think about, again, just referencing Leone again, like I think about, Fistful of Dollars and for a few dollars more and stuff. Like, does it matter? Not really. You got everything you need to know. He's got, he's like, in the first one, it's like, he got mistaken for this dude and like has this like guitar case full of guns. And then the second one, he's kind of become that dude. Okay, cool. I'm into it. Yeah, right on.
They don't explain what Steve Buscemi, why he's indebted to him or they don't ever get into it, but I don't need to know. I assume that he saved his life. Who fucking cares? Buscemi is hot fire in this movie too. I mean,
and it's starting off with that story too. That's such a great
one of the best intros of any movie ever. I mean, it almost feels like, I know it wasn't this way, but sometimes movies are like built off of a short or something. It feels like that's like a short film that this whole movie was built off of or something. I mean, that intro is incredible. I love it.
Well, and there's so many aspects to it too. There's like, and Cheech Marin is great. Like again, like bartender never gets killed.
Awesome.
Yeah, and the guy from The Plug sitting next to him.
Yeah. No, it's. There's so much to love there, and like it builds it up, but then when it actually get to the battle, it's like, oh well, where else would it go? And then you're like, oh no, this is all in flashback, and you're like, oh damn, that's wild.
I love the part where he talks about how the shadow keeps like following his face, like you think he's gonna step into the light, but the shadow just keeps following over his face. The way they show it, it's like beautiful. I mean,
he is so much a master. Like, oh, I saw his eyes.
Yeah.
Which they continue that whole thing, like the building a legend part of it, like the myth, I guess, that, all of these, because that is a thing that does follow people around throughout, like Mexican history and throughout like Western American history, these like legends of these, these people that suddenly show up and they have like guns and they're outlaws and like this whole legend that you build up. And I like that in Once Upon a Time in Mexico, they build up on it more and they're like, we used to go around and lie about the fact that this guy was the biggest Mexican you've ever seen. Like he was like normal height and like,
kind of a small guy with a big head. Yeah.
The funny thing about this movie too is like I always thought that Danny Trejo was like 9 feet tall the way he's shot in this movie, and like he's just like 5'7", 5'6".
He's a little guy.
You know?
Yeah.
No, it does a great job of showing him as being incredibly imposing. Like, whoa, that guy's nuts.
Yeah.
Like,
because like this was his breakout role. I mean, like before this, you know, he was in like Death Wish 4, where like you know Charles Bronson gets him wet and then he explodes.
His first movie is Runaway Train, right? He's like boxing at the beginning of Runaway Train.
Yeah, well, he's like picked up off
too,
of. Yes, Steven Seagal just kicks him in the face. But
not from a sitting position yet,
over at Muscle Beach. Like that's what he got out of prison, goes to Muscle Beach to you know, because he knew that ex-cons could get work as like personal trainers out there. So he goes out there and somebody from casting just comes by and's like, "Hey, you ever acted before?" He's like, "Yeah, no, man." Like, all right, well, I can.
He's got such a great look, you know. Like he's got that super severe looking face. He's got resting badass face. Is what he has.
A tattoo is real too. I mean,
yeah, those are real prison tats.
Yeah.
Well, and then he
became a boxer too in prison,
and like he became a that guy. He like if you needed like you know random gang member number 5, then like call in Danny Trejo.
Yeah.
You know.
But then he was like in Heat. He had like a real small part in Heat. He was part of De Niro's crew, and you know, Reindeer Game's terrible film, but Danny Trejo, if you actually dare to watch that movie,
he is in Con Air. Con Air
fantastic.
rocks.
Yes, Con Air.
Con Air is.
He became this cult figure in the '90s, like because of this, and you know, super happy because like.
Do you guys like the Machete movies?
Yeah.
I look. Is there going to be a Criterion edition of anytime soon? Probably not. But
why not?
I enjoyed it for what.
At least the first one.
You know, there's the. I was actually Tony and I were at Scott from Four No Blow's place, and we were recording I think Protons and Electrons, and that's when I saw it for the first time. And there's like the scene where like he gets with like the mom and the daughter in the pool, and I'm like, of course he does. Like I mean, this is classic exploitation fare. Yeah,
I think I was 14 or 15 when I saw Machete.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like a really big fan of Spy Kids when I was a kid. And but like I remember
he's playing the same character.
I remember being like online, like kind of fucking around and seeing like, oh, there's a movie where Danny Trejo plays the same character that he did in Spy Kids, but he runs around and like kills people. And I was like, oh, that sounds cool. And then I remember watching it and be like, holy shit.
I love the best part about that movie though is where the doctor actually goes on and explains how long the intestines are, and you're like, what does this have to do with anything? So then like later on when Danny Trejo like rips the guy's stomach open, pulls out his intestines and swings out a window with him, like
it's just there's been that long
it
setup
off.
for that.
Like,
yeah.
Oh. And like that's you know you can see like the kernels of what became of that scene in Desperado.
Yeah.
See, brought it back. Look at that.
So I have this. I have a few of these videos, but this is from his like 10-minute film class. Robert Rodriguez,
nice.
And this is he filmed a lot of like Antonio Banderas getting ready to do the bar fighting scene, and I thought it was like hold on, it's not this one. It's
was it that scene that Banderas actually directed because he didn't like the second unit director, and Banderas was like, hey, do you mind if I give it a try? And he's like, yeah, man, sure. I think it was. Which I love that. He's like, yeah, man, go right ahead. Sure.
And he had like a bunch of other stuff to film at the same time. So he was like, let him give
it a rip.
What side do you want to spin around? Just to know.
Spin that way, since you're going that way. And you're right.
This
way. Start your crawl again from over there.
All right.
Everything ends up running a lot smoother and safer, and we're able to get a lot more done with the time that we have. And it saves me time later because I won't shoot what didn't work. I'll only shoot the stuff that I know I'm going to use, and I figure that out on rehearsal.
I'm kind of looking around. Now everyone else will start climbing up. Real slow. Okay. Ready? Go ahead. Real slow. Tell each other what to do.
I'm operating the video camera here, but since I'm also going to be operating the film camera when I actually shoot this, I've got a great sense of what it's going to look like later by taping it first.
No. Out of bullets. Okay, can you? When you're down, you look up at the bartender.
Here's a shot that I only storyboarded a couple of shots for this sequence. I had this idea of Antonio falling on his back and kicking a guy off of him. The guy would go flying into the air. Steve Davison's job to figure out exactly how we were going to launch him. So what he came up with was this ratchet. There's a pulley and a wire attached to the ceiling. That's what gives him that height. Next, I wanted Antonio to stand up firing into the camera, which works great in a video storyboard or in a regular storyboard. But when you actually go to shoot it, he's actually firing right into the camera, right at me, and I'm getting just pelted with wax. And in fact, look at this slow motion. You'll see that so much force is coming out of those guns. You'll see that he actually shoots the matte box off of the camera.
Right, great. Change your cartridges. Stand right up here. Stand up straight. Stand up straight up like right here.
There's only one way to get a shot like this. Easy to write, easy to storyboard, not so easy to shoot. The only way to get it is to lay on the floor with the camera handheld and have everybody fall on top of me. It's strange sometimes the images that'll stand out in your head. I only did a few drawings for this sequence, and this was one of them. Him walking with a gun behind him. It's something I saw very clearly. I don't know why. That's why I shot it on video, and as you see, it even looks that way in the film. I guess more than anything, it conveyed sort of an attitude I was going for.
Hey, you, get up! Come on!
This is my second AD, and he did so well. I put him in the movie as this character.
Fucking A.
Because he was wiry and tough, and it's fun sometimes using your crew as cast members. They get a big kick out of it. It's good for the morale of the crew when you're trying to get so much done on such a short schedule.
Click.
And this is my first AD, but done here rehearsing with Antonio as I videotape this sequence to really get it clear in our heads, because I know this will be the last part of it, and it's going to be down to the wire when we go to shoot this. So we got to have everything planned out.
So now what?
Put the guns down. Very slow. Walk backwards. Shot of the boots. No, I'm shot of the boots. Get back. Start again. Stepping over the bodies backwards. Go. If not tonight, surely by the dawn.
I forgot how much I love the fan hitting the dude in the face too. Talk about it being a funny moment.
I love
Dude,
the guy rehearsal.
It's like
Wow.
a silent movie, or it's like Charlie Chaplin or some shit. But meets, I mean, you mentioned this a few times, Hong Kong. I feel like he's way more inspired by Hong Kong cinema than Westerns, even though it is ostensibly a Western. But this is the closest any American has gotten to replicating the magic of John Woo's magic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, the only other film I would, the only other film I'd mention was Last Man Standing, which is actually really good. With
Walter Hill. Yeah.
So he talks about that actually right here. This is like the thing right before right before what we saw. So he's talking about the Hong Kong aspect of it.
Oh, really? Cool.
People often ask me if I storyboard my movies. And at Mariachi, I didn't storyboard anything. Usually you make storyboards to communicate to your crew and to your actors what it is you're trying to accomplish. Since I didn't have a crew on that movie, I didn't necessarily draw anything. But I did draw out the opening sequence for Desperado. Here's some of it now.
I was a stranger. He bolts out of the car like you wouldn't believe. He grabs his cape and then he dives right in the middle of the room with it.
Even though I was a cartoonist, I'm not fast enough to draw all the storyboards needed for a feature. The things I did draw, as you can see, are really cartoony and kind of weird. But I chose to do it myself because if you hire a storyboard artist, he's making your shots and your camera angles and in a lot of ways directing your movie for you. So to avoid that, if you can draw, do your own boards. If you can't draw, this alternate method I'm beginning to use more of. In a lot of ways, I like it better. It's video storyboards. I'll take a video camera to a location, even if it wasn't finished, with the actor, with a DP, with anyone else who might gain anything from it, and actually show them the camera angles you're going to do. When you're actually filming the movie, so many people asking you questions, it's very hard to concentrate. If you do it ahead of time, you'll have a much clearer game plan of what you're going to do on the day of shooting. So as you see, I set up my camera kind of wide for the wide shot, and it's going to look just like this in the final picture because I'm the camera operator both on the video and in the final film. It just gets it kind of very clear in your head what it is you're going to be doing.
Okay.
I walk Antonio through it also and just start getting my shots. I mean, I know when he walks in, I want it to be a very strong entrance. The reason I had to be so prepared on this movie was because at this time, Hong Kong action movies were the best action movies in the world. Movies like The Killer and Hard Boiled had over 120-day shooting schedules. This movie, I was only going to have 38, so I couldn't be screwing around. I had to really know exactly what I was going to be doing, have all my shots chosen ahead of time, because for this particular sequence, we only had 2.5 days to get everything.
I'm just looking for work.
There's no work here.
Is there something to drink?
To make it look like we had more time, you had to have it planned out, and shooting on video, as you'll see, is what really nailed it for us. Antonio really gets into the action.
Wait. Slow down.
Antonio is just a natural. That's why we didn't even bother to get a stunt double for him. We came up with stunts that he could do himself because he's just athletic. So all through this rehearsal, I'm showing everyone the action that I want to do.
And all the guys turning the tables with the guns. Right here. Cool.
I would write these action scenes into the script, and then stunt coordinator Steve Davison's job was to come up with a safe way for us to pull them off.
Slow.
The speed has to. I have to be able to. React to the.
I love that he does those. Like, it's rad that he like shares the knowledge. You know, like it's so cool to see.
He seems like a genius to me, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, not all of his movies are good, but he just seems like extremely brilliant to me. I don't know.
He seems less preoccupied with whether all of them are good and more about just being able to like go out and make stuff. Like it seems like he truly enjoys going out and just like fucking around and trying to actually like experiment with it rather than, I mean, obviously like he has way more polished stuff. Like Sin City's pretty polished. Like Dusk Till Dawn is pretty fucking polished. Like he actually has like Tarantino write the script for that and everything, so that it's not just
which is one of the all-time great like head fakes.
Yeah,
like in movies, yes. And I'm not even kidding when I say it, because you think it's like a crime thing for like the longest time. They're like, oh yeah, and then vampires now. What?
Yeah, well they ruined that with the commercials, but I did get to see a guy.
I never saw the commercial, so I got to be surprised.
Yeah, the commercials ruined it, and it was like,
yeah,
are we gonna get to the vampires at some point? But yeah,
no. But I had a friend of mine watch
glad.
it, and she was like, I hate Tarantino films. Why are you making me watch? I'm like, trust me, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. I hate this is terrible. Like, if this doesn't get better, I'm gonna leave. And then that's the moment when everybody turns into vampires.
And like Tarantino's literally
like, this is the best movie ever.
Yeah. Well, and Tarantino, I know that's not what we're discussing, but in that film, does a great job of being like an incredibly annoying dude, like which he usually is. Well,
and in this movie too, for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm not gonna say the man's typecast, but he leans into it though, like the whole like mispronouncing things and like
the character is so much. He goes gracias with the fucking lisp.
Like it's very clear he's supposed to me anyway that he's supposed to be like ugly American type, right? And he pulls that off well, and with. No, anyone thinks that he doesn't have knowledge of that. Like, that's a smart dude. Like, I get it if you're like, I'm not a main person of his thing or like whatever, this and that. Okay, fine. But like that dude loves movies. And that dude is no dummy.
I mean, it's also funny.
Coming up
that-
next week, Quentin Tarantino.
Definitely, it's funny that we talked about True Romance, which like is the first script that he kind of sells.
Script rules.
Yeah, and so like his first thing that he really gets into as a foray is like screenwriting, and then he's like, well, obviously, like I want to be a director. Like I don't want to be a screenwriter. Like another guy that's just kind of some asshole that's just keeps selling scripts in like Hollywood. Like that life sounds like it probably sucks anyway. So when he finally is able to get Reservoir Dogs underway and becomes like one of the film's greatest savants of his generation or whatever. In that moment, like obviously that's what he really wants to be doing, but it's funny that he takes all of these acting gigs as well, which a lot of directors do in like other countries like Cronenberg and stuff, but like it's funny that he takes all of these like kind of fun acting gigs.
All of the French New Wave people did that too. Like they would just be like in each other's films and stuff. I mean,
He
I think
had
it's also just what you do.
aspirations of being an actor, though. I think he was like, I'm also an actor, kind of like at the beginning.
Well, he put himself in Reservoir Dogs, doesn't say very much.
He wrote himself a very disturbing monologue in Pulp Fiction as well.
Yeah,
his monologue and 4 Rooms is pretty great too, where he just tells a episode of was it Twilight Zone?
Yeah, I haven't seen that in a while. 4 Rooms is a kind of a weird movie, huh? Like Rodriguez, his part, he's got Banderas and Hayek in his part, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. She's just the stripper on the TV. So you don't really have her. She's not really doing anything.
She's not the mom.
No.
Well, and I hesitate to bring in the Puss in Boots universe, but that Puss in Boots 2, The Last Wish, that everyone's losing their mind.
Yeah, you brought that up to me. Like
the Zoomers love this movie, man.
I didn't have time. I don't know if I have time in this lifetime to watch that movie, but
I will say it was pretty good. It was pretty good. But Banderas is the titular Puss in Boots, and Hayek is like his female counterpart. And
he was the only part I liked about Shrek Part 1, but I so disliked that movie that I decided to never watch any more Shrek movies, So
Shrek's kind of become ubiquitous as like a meme, like more than anything else, right? Like
I have never seen any of the Shrek movies. So I watched this Puss in Boots: The Last Wish without seeing any of those. I guess there's a first movie. It's apparently not as good, but
it's the third one, right? I think it's the third Puss in Boots movie.
Well,
which is spun off of 4 Shrek movies. 5 Shrek
there's
movies.
too many of them. Like I feel like it's a good enough standalone story that like it's worth watching, but I think I had it built up so hard for me by a lot of people I know that are on the younger side that like I was expecting some masterwork. I think by the time I actually saw it, it wasn't. It was.
I think I was told it was like it has qualities of older films that you don't see anymore.
Yes, that's what I liked best about it.
Yeah.
Hey, Randy, that could be a chat pile lyric.
Yeah. Did you guys know that the Zorro movie was supposed to be a reteaming of Rodriguez and Banderas, and Banderas' casting as Zorro is a remnant of Rodriguez being the director of that movie.
Oh no!
That was Martin. What's his face? The guy who did GoldenEye.
Yep, big Martin Campbell, I think.
Martin Campbell, yes,
yeah.
who's fantastic on his own, but like those are mid movies.
Yeah.
I like the first one, but not the second one. Like Mask is the first one, but Legend is totally unnecessary. You got Anthony Hopkins in that first one, Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Yeah,
hot off Entrapment. I mean, you can't beat it.
Yeah.
For me, for a PG-13 movie, 98. I don't know.
Well, and this is like ground zero for Banderas, because again, like talk about just getting the right guy, like casting. I was listening to Paul Schrader talk about casting and how like that's like I think he says like that he feels like it's like 90% of the movie is casting, which is I was like, wow, that's very interesting, but I think that talk about nailing it, because it's like think about. Like swap out who would have been like an action star around this time that would have been in here
for Desperado.
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Okay, well, you can't see. That's the beauty of what Rodriguez is doing. He's making he's making movies in America that star Mexican or Mexican American people. And I know Antonio Banderas is Spanish, but you know what I'm saying? Like that's like his mission. And like what you were talking about earlier with getting Trejo like his own kind of like franchise and shit. That's beautiful. I mean, I applaud Rodriguez for thinking in that way, having that on his
it's
mind.
kind of it's interesting in the the era of representation that Robert Rodriguez is one of like the earliest people
Fucking
at least
is
in his at least in like the Latino community thinking about representation and trying to build up this bench, but not doing it in such a heavy-handed or seemingly, I guess, just heavy-handed kind of way that people are like, oh, you're making movies with just like Mexican actors or Latina actors. This is like obviously it's decades before the whole like woke backlash to stuff.
Yeah.
But like he's doing it in such a way that this bench is kind of getting built up so that all of these actors can get roles later on without kind of hitting the look what I'm doing button. He's just kind of trying to make his own lane through that, and he did.
Well,
a really good job
he
of it.
wants to see himself on screen, which I get. Like, I remember, I was the only white kid in the neighborhood growing up, and it was Star Wars.
I think
was
I've
the
seen
thing.
this sitcom, by the way. Yeah,
it was such a big deal. So when they cast freaking what's his face as a Black Jedi Knight, or so we thought, in the 7th movie, I was excited for all those kids that I don't remember their names of because I'm too small to remember them, but was nice enough to let me join them. The white kid in the neighborhood.
The old neighborhood.
Well, and it's it's wild too how prescient this is because and again I'm going to go back to and I like these films but the John Wickization of like action movies and like this the cartoonish violence, which has just become more and more like with every one of these that they've done, they've just stepped it up more and more. Mm-hmm. But there's something. And look, we live in a world that has real life gun violence every day.
Yes.
And it's not okay. And it's horrific. Yet there's something about how it's done here where it's like it's you have the buy-in that it's fantasy.
Yeah.
And it's other than it being like a when you see it kind of differentiation. I don't know how else to explain it.
It's also like the people that want the gun violence to continue, it seems, are the ones that think that like this is real life. They
would be the brother in the white suit. Yeah, exactly. They'd be the I forget the character's name, but that would be that guy in this situation.
Bucho,
yeah. Thank you.
Something like bitch or
Bucho.
I mean,
so fucking good. God damn it.
Such a fucking rad line.
Funny. Bucho, every time they cut to him, it's just like, how bad is this guy? And he does like worse and worse shit, like as they keep cutting back to him. He's like killing his own guys, and then blowing smoke into like his girlfriend's mouth and stuff, just being like,
but he's like, if you see someone you don't know, shoot him, and like he like shoots that guy that does all the what me?
Yeah, it's that guy's name in the casting thing is just Shrugs.
Yeah, because he's always like.
He looks like the guy in Brooks and Dunn that has a mustache, is what I kept thinking.
Yes. But he has big like Harold Lloyd, Charlie Chaplin energy because he's like doing so much work with his
absolutely.
Stuff,
I love it. Bring it on. I mean, I don't know. What a weird mix.
And then he just shoots him because he's like, hey, you guys need to be more suspicious. And then it's like, whoa, all right, this guy.
Like, I don't know him. Everybody just backs away.
He looks like Manuel Zelaya, the old president of Honduras. That
the new first husband.
That got overthrown in the Obama administration. That's what he looks like to me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He does. He does kind of look like that guy. Yeah.
First gentleman of Honduras. Yeah. There you go. Yes. All right. Who said this show wasn't educational?
Exactly. But I also looked at Raul Julia was going to play that part of the bad guy.
Isn't that? Yeah.
Really?
No,
that's awesome. I love.
I actually found that out recently. Right. And like he passed away before they started shooting.
Oh
so that's
my
when
god,
they
that would have been incredible. But the guy who is in it is very good.
He's phenomenal. He's great. Like I mean, he's just not Raul Julia. That's the thing.
Yeah. He's from Portugal, and you can definitely hear some kind of weird European like in his voice. Yeah, but I really.
But he
liked
always
him a
plays
lot.
drug dealers, and he's always phenomenal. But like the thing is, though, he's not Raul Julia. Like Raul Julia's on another level than this guy, and I love him. And I always forget his name too. It's just that guy.
Well, he's very much of that guy, and he's in a bunch of stuff.
Joaquin something. I can't remember
Yeah.
what his full name was, but yeah,
D.
he's in
Almeida?
Fast Five, I believe.
Joaquin D. Almeida.
Oh hell yeah, he's great.
Just quick sidebar, Raul Julia. I just checked this because I was trying to remember if this was like one of these like one of these Mandela effect Berenstain Bears things. But Raul Julia, he was in Street Fighter, that Street Fighter movie.
It's his final film
as Bison. Yeah, and apparently, which the first result, and I love this, is why was Raul Julia in Street Fighter?
It was for his
Which I think
children.
is amazing.
That's
And it's
it.
because
It
his
was
children
truly-
were fans.
It
Yeah.
really-
Yeah.
It was like he was like, I'm dying.
No.
I need to make money. Like really,
Yeah.
it's sad, but it's true.
But
That's
he
amazing.
did something.
Terrible.
He did something that his kids wanted to see him in, which I
Yeah.
think, as a parent, like if I was making a movie and I was dying, I would make a movie. The shittiest movie that my kids would love, and my kids have terrible taste in films.
Well, he wasn't dying, but that's the reason why Rodriguez made Spy Kids and Shark Girl and Lava Boy.
yeah,
or
well,
whatever.
Spy Kids was written by his kids.
Yeah. Oh no, that's Shark Boy and Lava Girl, isn't it?
Okay,
The one-
okay.
that one is
One of
written
them.
based on his kids' drawings, and that movie is like terrible, apparently.
Yeah,
But he made
I don't know. I've
Spy
never
Kids-
watched any of his kid stuff, so I'm just
Yeah, he
I mean,
was. Just
I
like,
was a big fan of Spy Kids as a kid.
yeah.
Like, that was my first introduction to
Yeah,
Robert
you'd be the
Rodriguez.
right age, so I get
And
it.
that's Banderas and Hayek as the parents, right?
Banderas and that other lady that's it's not Hayek, it's she's in like a lot of different stuff though. Hold on. Carla Gugino.
Gucci.
Ooh,
Yeah.
she's in Sin City, and Son-in-Law.
She sure is.
Too.
I remember well.
It was also I liked that was the first movie I ever saw Alan Cumming in. And he's been in so many just random, like when he was in Eyes Wide Shut, and he's like the fucking flirty hotel clerk that's like like
yeah, that's a great role.
They just put a cool movie he
GoldenEye.
made with Jennifer Jason Leigh up on Criterion Channel called The
Oh, yeah.
Anniversary Party. It's a really
I
good movie.
hadn't seen that, but there's a whole Jennifer Jason Leigh like thing that they just did.
It was their attempt to kind of do like a Dogma '95 style film.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's interesting.
I like Jennifer Jason Leigh. I should check out some of those. I think that this is an incredibly influential movie too in a lot of ways. And as much as like Robert Rodriguez is the first one to note his influences, it's also important to note that lesser filmmakers don't necessarily do that research. And this film specifically inspired a lot of like. Not as many lesser films as like the cut rate Pulp Fictions that came out. Don't get me wrong, because there was a lot of like all right, you're trying to do this. Okay, I get it.
Yeah,
But
my film professor at New Paltz graduated the same year that I think he said Pulp Fiction came out, but it might have been Reservoir Dogs, and was talking about how every student film that anybody made for the next like 5 years was always just a ripoff of Reservoir Dogs.
It was sort of like, okay, you learned the wrong lesson here. But yeah, like
Yeah,
it was.
he
It
banned
wasn't
all of
just
us.
student films. They made a few of them that made it on the screen too.
Yeah, but he banned all of us from just using like cheap deaths in short films when we did the last two classes of the of college, because he was like, listen, I lived through the wave of fucking rip off Tarantino student films. I don't want to see anybody else like get killed in a in a college film ever again. It's like,
Well, there was a lot. I mean, Natural Born Killers there was a lot of ripoffs for that, and a lot of people trying to do that kind of film too.
Story by QT. Like the whole
QT.
the deal was true romance. In the original screenplay, Clarence, Christian Slater's character, was writing a screenplay, so it was a story within a story, and a story of Mickey and Mallory. But then he split it in half and
No
sold
kidding!
that off. Yeah,
That's
and,
awesome.
And Stone rewrote it, which I love Natural Born Killers. So
Yeah.
whatever.
No,
you know.
I think Natural Born Killers is great. I just hate that the movies that attempted to rip it off and got like maybe 1/3 of like what that movie does.
It's impossible to rip off because I mean, Natural Born Killers is like he's using like 14 different kinds of like film.
Yeah.
And
Oh
shit.
yeah, just
I mean,
from
it's
a
just
composition
like, you can't.
aspect. Yeah.
Rob Zombie tried to rip it off with House of a Thousand Corpses, and it's like it's so amateurish and bad. You know, I mean, I don't know.
I think the best, I guess, homage to all of Robert Rodriguez's films are all the Mexican scenes in Breaking Bad, where they just make sure that every scene in Breaking Bad that's Mexican is yellow and like really stylistic, and that is 100%
it's a Rodriguez thing. You're right.
They also have Danny Trejo. He plays La Tortuga or whatever.
That's right.
And they use a lot of the same actors, and Vince Gilligan knows Robert Rodriguez, so it's really funny that like I realized watching through these and thinking about like Machete and stuff, that all of the Mexican scenes in Breaking Bad are all like just a homage to Robert Rodriguez's style of filmmaking.
But how cool is that? Because it's like, he did that, predominantly actually with this movie, a little bit. But by the time Once Time in Mexico came out, like it already was like in the zeitgeist for sure. And as much as many people claim El Mariachi, I'm one of the rare people I know that saw El Mariachi first, but that was literally just because of the timing with that film class and because the professor knew the Desperado was coming up. That's the only reason why. I was not cool enough to have seen it on my own. But
no, I didn't see it until like the late 90s.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like how it was now, where you just like,
yeah,
Mariachi,
and like it was on IFC. Right. Which we illegally had. That's a story for another day.
that is a statute of limitations story. But I was gonna say, but it's I love that too, Forrest, and that you bring that up because that type of cinematography and shot composition and whatnot. The only thing I can think of that had such an immediate shorthand within other movies is like the Wong Kar-wai thing. Where like his use of color in that thing, where it's like if you're making that kind of movie, then whether you consciously or subconsciously do or not, like you like color tinted in this way to like give this like this certain feel, and at least within modern cinema, maybe there's other examples. I mean, I don't know. I think Andy, you're chomping at the bit to say something, so maybe you have other.
No, I was just nodding along because
I mean, are there other ones? Because it's just there's not that many I can think of, really.
No, same. I can't.
It's just like that's how you show those types of scenes now. Like you just that's how you do it. Like and it's
yeah.
I love that. Look, to the point that like we mentioned. All right, so Everything Everywhere All at Once has that Wong Kar-wai inspired scene, right? But like it could just easily have been like a Robert Rodriguez desert scene, and like we would have known it immediately. Like it's got that initial like just shorthand, that shorthand for visuals, which is underrated, of course, which is funny in a ostensibly visual medium that people don't think about that. But.
I think this movie is underrated as an action film, just period.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, I think it's maybe this and like Heat are the two most significant action movies made in America of the 90s, possibly. I mean, I know there's like other ones I'm not thinking of, like T2, for instance, but like
T2 was like, oh man, talk about everyone trying to rip off T2. Ooh.
This is truly bringing like Hong Kong to America, though. I mean, it's just like when he kicks that guy up in the air and then shoots him with double guns. I mean, I'm in heaven as a moviegoer.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And like, the other thing too is like Antonio Banderas is one of the few actors that can get that Chow Yun Fat cool. Like there's this coolness that's like
I agree.
Like I think the only other actor I could put in this category is the Japanese actor who did a lot of noir films, Joe Shishido. Like the three of them have this same type of coolness, like walking on.
Is he the guy that has the big cheeks? Joe Shishido? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. For sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
And that comes back to apparently I'm just backing at Paul Schrader here that casting is 90% of everything, right?
Yeah.
That like he's perfect in this role, and no harm, no foul, peace and love in my heart to Carlos Gallardo, but like let's charitably say that he did not have that. Because that was more El Mariachi is more as like he's this everyman, right?
He's just
mariachi,
like
but he's
Rodriguez's buddy.
Yeah, he's just a dude.
But like him
just some guy.
Everyman works for that film because like he's supposed to be just some guy. Like
but
he's
at
not
the point
supposed
of
to be an action hero.
Right, but by Desperado he is. So that's why it actually
And like a Pokemon, he evolved into Antonio Banderas.
Well, they do the whole sequence in Once Upon a Time in Mexico with Willem Dafoe, where they're like, changing his appearance to be somebody else. With the they could have just done that.
That's so crazy.
So many people
I love that they fucking put him in brown face, and my first thought was about that meme that's the fucking Norman Osborn meme or whatever in Spider-Man, where he's like, I'm something of a scientist myself, and the first thing I thought was like, I'm something of a Mexican myself.
I do love that Willem Dafoe will just go for it.
Sure.
And he was the best part of that Inside movie that I saw, which I don't know if I could recommend. It's a great performance, but the story's pretty weak. But it's a great concept, and it's almost, I can almost recommend watching just because his performance is so great, but it's lacking something. But he's a dude that that's not a guy who half-asses anything.
Yeah, sounds like a better thing than Reindeer Games.
It's definitely better than Reindeer Games, although it's been a long time since I've seen Reindeer Games. So.
Yeah, but
Trejo's
great
in Reindeer Games.
It's
okay.
So
I wanted to talk about Salma Hayek
and
how this
I do too.
Let's do it. Yeah,
her debut. So I found this interview where she gets interviewed in August 1995, right after this comes out, and it's like this is like her first press run. And
that's awesome.
And it's the guy. I'm trying to think of what we knew this guy from. He was in another episode that we did. He interviewed somebody. I can't remember who it was, but he's like this very old and kind of heavy interviewer that's like very flirty every time there's a guy or a girl that's like
a beautiful woman on.
Or like I think I've seen it be kind of like that with beautiful men.
Hey, well, good for him. Yeah.
Roll tape, wait for speed.
Only 5 minutes with this man?
Well, I'll count the trailer later. Salma, you're not playing the typical action movie heroine in this film, not by a long shot. Can you explain some of the fun you had in this?
Oh, yes.
This guy rocks.
Really wanted to create a character that was strong, but very feminine. That was sexy, but funny. And with Robert's help, I think it came through that way.
Mission accomplished.
So it was exciting. It was a lot of fun. You were there. We had the pleasure of having you there.
Did you ever bruise yourself badly?
Oh boy, did I ever bruise myself badly? Yes, I have scars, but they're good luck scars because they're coming from a good movie. Yes, I did a lot of the action stuff. I loved the flying, that you were there. And I didn't like some of the other stuff, like Antonio sometimes. I love Antonio, but Antonio sometimes would hit me with the guitar. He has it and he's turning and it's like, Antonio! And then with the spur, he was clumsy with the spur. And it's like, we're coming up the stairs and I'm behind him and he's running. He really gets into it. And he's like, boom, boom, boom. I don't know what he does with his feet, but it's like hitting me in the leg. Antonio, this brr, because you couldn't see my face. So there was some other stuff, that was not as fun, but overall, yeah, it's great.
Now, since then, you've made Vidac Alley, which I believe the Spanish name for that is
El Callejón de los Milagros. I did it before.
It was very well received in Berlin. Could you tell us a little bit about the character you play in that film?
Oh, yes. It's a brilliantly written character. It's based on a novel by Naguib Mahfouz, who's a wonderful writer. He won a Nobel Prize in Literature.
Yes.
And she's just a woman that, like Carolina, has a lot of dreams. She comes from a very poor background in Mexico. And she's been fitted into her head that because she's beautiful, she deserves a better life. And she gets very confused in choosing which way she's going to go in life, looking for this better life. And something terrible, all these terrible things happen to her. And it's just such a round character. It was such a pleasure playing it because you can go to all these different colors. The film has won 25 awards so far. I've won 4 awards for Best Actress. And we're still going to a lot of stuff. So I'm excited about that too.
Now, is it difficult for you to walk around some areas of Los Angeles without people swarming you because of their familiarity with your TV performances?
Yeah, but it feels good. It feels great. it brings you memories. It feels at home. It's always nice to feel loved. So I like it. I don't complain about that.
Now, you've managed, it seems so far, to make the jump from one country's cinema to American cinema. You look back on this as a formidable achievement
Yes. Yes.
and a difficult one.
And a very difficult one. And Jill, I just made this probably the biggest achievement in my life. I just got a part that was written for an American girl, and that it was given to me just because I was out of the auditions and the director told me this. I didn't get it because I was a Mexican, and they didn't stop me from getting it because I was a Mexican. They gave it to me because for the director, it was the best performance. And it didn't stop them that I was a Mexican to give it to me. And it's a movie with Russell Crowe. It's only 2 characters. It's called Breaking Up. I'm very excited about it. We start the 28th.
Finally, I would like you to say on camera that while you were changing in your dressing room, I was a gentleman and I did keep my eyes closed.
What? Yes, let me tell you. I gave him an interview. We were rushed in time. He was about to leave the town. I didn't have time to do it before. So while I'm dressing, Jill, with his eyes shut, is asking me the questions. And all this
is there a
people are dressing
lawsuit?
me, and I'm answering all the stuff. And he kept his eyes closed the whole time. He was there for a long time, too. Thank you, Jill.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Wow. Wow.
That was like Bobby levels of like
Yeah.
I can't remember what other movie we watched where he was very
How
weird
thirsty.
in another interview.
Yeah, that's uncomfortable. Wow.
Like, was there a lawsuit that he's like, okay, now Selma, I need this testimony.
Just
right
let the
here.
record show. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
He has
This I can use this deposition, right?
he has since been canceled like 10 times.
Yeah, do you want a trophy? Like what? I mean, like Jesus Christ.
Who's that
why did you
guy?
bring that up?
Joe Lydon.
See if he's on any watch list. Can you look that up real quick? No,
Yeah. I've never heard of that movie Breaking Up. I just looked it up.
I just looked
is
it
real.
up. Yeah, 1997.
Crow was it's so funny to think about all these people that are huge celebrities having indie past. Like Reese Witherspoon was like an indie darling for many years
absolutely.
before she became Legally Blonde and whatever. Russell Crowe, Romper
like,
Stomper.
Romper Stomper, which is the second time Romper Stomper's been mentioned this month, and I mentioned it earlier. But yeah, that's
pretty good movie.
It's a pretty good movie, and it's definitely like Russell Crowe was notable in it, and like not in a not in a like, hey, let's be like this guy kind of way, but like just like, oh my god, that's a great role.
Man, yeah.
And I think like he was still doing films because he did Virtuosity, that terrible Denzel movie.
Virtuosity.
It's another movie that came out when I was like 12, and I just love it because
From Dusk Till Dawn. No, Quick and the Dead.
Quick and the Dead.
Quick and the Dead
actually rocks.
Sam Raimi, fucking.
Oh,
and then
like
completely
again,
underrated.
Yeah, it's all mood. There's like hardly any story to this thing, and it's all mood. It's fantastic. Too bad they cut Bruce Campbell's scene, but I understand why.
Yeah.
He's still in the closing credits though.
The same year as this, right? Like 95. Quick and the
It's gotta be
Dead.
around the same time.
Yeah,
Well, and you
Rolling
never
Peace came out when I was still in high school, or like right was wrapping up, or maybe I just graduated.
1995.
But it was before I
Gene
went to
Hackman,
college. Is what I'm saying.
Gene Hackman is so great in that. Actually, you know who's great in that? Fuck Sharon Stone. Sharon Stone's pretty damn great in that.
Leo's in
Yes.
it. Is Trejo in it? He might be.
No,
he might. Be.
No,
no.
But you know who is? Sven Thorson. He's this. Yeah, that's
he
a
played
pull.
LaFours in Mallrats. And he's also in Conan the Barbarian. Yes.
Lance Hendrickson is in it too.
Yep.
Yes. Keith David.
Yeah, that's right. We should do an episode on Quick and the Dead.
Fucking Russell Crowe is basically reprising his role in the movie The Man with the Iron Fist, the RZA movie, which is like damn near the same movie as Quick and the Dead, and Russell Crowe playing almost the same role. It's fucking weird. It's really weird. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's a little different, but yeah, it's I
Let
feel
the
you.
record show. The
Well, I'm not saying it's like one for one, but I mean,
No,
I was
no,
watching
no.
it,
no take backs.
I
No
was
take
like,
backs.
this
You
is
said
about
it was
a
exactly
dual
like it.
competition with fucking Russell Crowe as like a man.
I mean, it's
with
got the same
past.
cool. Like,
Yeah.
Well, and there's
And-
also like, look, Conversation and Enemy of the State, right? Like, is Gene Hackman the same character? Well, it's certainly meant to evoke the same type of character. if
Or
it's
what
not
about the
same
guy
one.
from With Nail and I being in Wayne's World 2? It's like same character? Question mark.
Yeah.
You know I had to
exactly.
beat them to death with their own shoes. That guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
yeah.
a drug dealer with
and
Nail and I.
The Rock, Sean Connery is James Bond.
Yes. Or Entrapment.
Mm.
I've heard theories for both movies. I love it. I love it.
It's all connected, people.
It is. It is all connected.
Salma Hayek is great, and
A star.
obviously she's a beautiful woman, but she does not get credit for being as good a performer as she is. She's actually
Agreed.
very funny too, and that's
Yeah.
and she's apparently had a hard time getting like cast in comedies because like basically you're too hot. It would never work. Like we want you to be the hot girl. That's
That
what
sucks.
this role is.
Yeah.
Which is horrible.
There was a lot of when her and Antonio Banderas were both in this Puss in Boots series. There's been a lot of like
Last
things
movie's
that have-
pretty good. I can't speak to the rest of them. I enjoyed it.
Things that have gone back to like Desperado, and like they've kind of trailed their chemistry together or whatever, and like
That's why I was bringing it up, because
yeah.
it was sort of like because they clearly homaging it with some of the scenes, and it's sort of like, oh, that's a trip, because that's like the kids aren't going to give a damn about that, but like it's like that's for the parents, or that's for the people just randomly watching it like me or neither. And I thought that like that could be so cringy if done wrong. And I thought they did a great job with it, and
I've watched plenty of cringy things like that with my kids.
I was gonna say, as a father, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
It was getting a lot of attention because Puss in Boots had anxiety. That's all I know about it.
Yeah, it's
What? Really? The character has anxiety?
well.
Yeah.
Oh, but I guess I'm the one that brought it up. I gotta kind of.
Yeah, you're the expert on Puss in Boots here.
I'm only an expert at the last
wish. The first Shrek movie is all I've seen.
So all right,
and that was like 20 years ago.
Me too. Yeah, more than 20 years ago. I was like, yeah.
So Puss in Boots is like the world's greatest adventurer, and like everyone knows that they sing songs about him and stuff like that. But he's burned through 8 of his 9 lives, so he's dealing with like mortality finally.
Oh, shit.
And like basically goes out on like an epic journey for this like thing that'll like grant a wish, and like his initial thing is he's gonna wish for more lives, right? But like it's actually
That seems like cheating. It seems like cheating that you can wish for more lives.
wish for more lives. But like you get into like how he's conducted himself throughout. I can't believe I'm doing this, man. How he's conducted himself through his life, and which is basically selfishly and unfairly to like a lot of people, and he has like a he reconciles that, and then also like he has like panic attacks and stuff. It's kind of. It's a fine line to walk, but I think they do a really good job of it. And again, I would have loved to have watched that before. Like every Zoomer was like, "It's the best movie since Citizen Kane." I'm like, okay, come on, settle down now.
Weird.
Settle down.
I'll speak with my kids about that. So I'm sorry.
But it does a lot of things and does it well. And one of the things it does well is sort of take the through line of the Salma Hayek Antonio Banderas relationship and just pass them as these cats. But like it works, and it's like a real kind of like this didn't need to be that good. Let's put it that way, and I appreciated that about it. So
fair enough.
But yeah, I again like I just don't have it too built up for you. You'd be like, what? This is fine.
I always thought the animation looked kind of crummy with those DreamWorks movies.
I don't love that kind of animation style.
Yeah, no, I hate that 3D computer stuff. I'm a sucker for 2D animation, like when it's done well. Give me Akira, give me Ghost of the Shell, but not the live action remake.
I was gonna say I know. We know you don't mean the live action remake.
Give me the most hardcore rated R animated movies or nothing.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
Kadoji or Get Out.
Well, honestly, like good Miyazaki film, right? Rated R, and those things are fantastic.
I love I think Jungle
one of
Book,
them is what was it? Howl's Moving Castle, or one of the Miyazaki
Princess
movies
Mononoke was PG-13.
Oh yeah.
Which had dialogue written by Neil Gaiman, by the way.
Which is that the one where they cut the head off of the forest spirit and it bleeds everywhere and the world ending or whatever? Okay, I've seen that one. Spoiler alert for anybody that hasn't seen it, but yeah.
Yeah, you didn't expect to have that spoiled this episode.
That's the key moment I remember from that movie. Sorry, Miyazaki.
Okay, so I love that. Like, how could you spoil Desperado?
You can't.
Because even when you're like, "Oh, it's his brother,"
it's
like, who cares? It doesn't matter. It's fine. Yeah, you can't spoil it. It's just like
the twist at the end where it's like we're brothers. It's just like who gives a shit?
Right.
Like, it's like fucking whatever.
Doesn't really matter, but okay.
Well,
because it's all about the journey.
The only the only thing that it really explains is why he doesn't like plug his brother in the head from a distance. He wants to make sure that he wants to make sure that he looks him in the eyes and goes, I am tu hermano.
I am. You killed my girlfriend. Prepare to die. Yeah.
I wonder if Empire Strikes Back, it being part 2 of the trilogy, if that had anything to do with like that having that twist at the end for no reason, if that played into it, who knows, Rodriguez,
I do love that it's incidental
him.
though.
It's
totally incidental, but like I think you might be onto something where it's like, oh yeah, this will be the one with like a crazy twist,
I mean, I don't know.
But I mean, the third one has a twist too, so it's not.
The first one maybe does too.
William Dafoe and Brownface is the twist. I didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, no. I mean, the twist being that Salma Hayek's dead, but
Yeah.
Way to spoil it, Andy.
I love Mickey Rourke in part 3.
Well,
He's got his own dogs.
Okay.
He was just
he's
like,
a chihuahua.
Mickey Rourke straight up alpha Rodriguez and was like, my dogs are in this movie. And he's like, okay.
Yeah,
he was just like carrying chihuahuas through the movie. It was like fucking rules. Like, Rourke
did you do the same thing in Iron Man 2 for the birds?
Probably. He's like a gnome.
His power move, go-to power
That's one of the best things about Rourke is that he loves dogs and stuff. So like all of his like later, when he has juice and stuff, the dogs are like probably involved somehow. They're in the movie. Yeah.
The dogs are the co-producers. The
co-produced by Fido and Butch. Who knew?
I like that the only reason that they killed off Salma Hayek in Once Upon a Time in Mexico is because she had just said other stuff. She was like, "Oh, I can come for a week, but like I can't be here for the whole shoot." So he's like, "Well, I guess we got to kill her off."
It sucks. It's like I'm almost like just remake the movie. Like, do it right. Because he famously wrote Once Upon a Time in Mexico over a weekend or some bullshit. And he's like, I had Johnny Depp for 3 days. He's like, these are the things I can do with green screen. It's like terrific, man. But like, it shows.
Johnny Depp ended up going down.
It definitely shows. Yeah, you see the cracks for sure.
Then Johnny Depp ended up going down to Mexico and then being like, oh, I'll just stay here. And then he didn't even, he just stayed in Mexico for like weeks.
He was actually just going around killing chefs,
Yeah, who knew? Yeah,
he eats some pork thing, and he'd be
credit where
like,
credit's
"This is
due.
delicious. I have to kill this guy now."
He went Daniel Day-Lewis with it. Yeah,
he is good in the movie. I like Johnny Depp's character is insane in the movie.
Yeah,
he gets his eyes. Spoiler: he gets his eyes drilled out, and then has a blind gunfight at one point in the movie. It's pretty fucking good. I mean,
and
there's good parts about the movie.
I like that he's having the kid.
Bad.
He's having the kid aim his hand. He's like, I need you to aim my hand.
And he's such a despicable character, but you kind of love him at the same because he's like
he's charming. He's
ACAB. He's likable ACAB.
Well, they have like the classic tension between the FBI and the CIA, which is a very real thing. But like you definitely end up being well, I mean, I don't know. I guess that they have the FBI agents kind of the the better guy than fucking Johnny Depp is, but Johnny Depp's charismatic enough to pull it off.
Yeah.
It's not a bad movie. For me, it's just a letdown because I love Desperado so much. I think
Me too.
Desperado's great. I mean, it's Desperado's like a no notes movie. Like, there's no way this movie could have been better for me with the timing and the budget and everything. Like, it's everything I'd want it to be.
I agree with that. I really don't think that you could improve on this movie. I mean, just watching it again today. And this is a movie that I have bought on Apple TV.
Right.
I already had it. I was like, how am I going to watch this? Like, oh yeah, I've already bought the Mariachi collection or whatever. And it's just like,
oh, do they have it where it's all three of them?
Yeah. So I have all three of them on Apple TV. But like, this movie is just like, it is. You get locked in from the beginning, and you just watch the whole thing. It's so much fun. It's breezy, good entertainment, in my opinion. You know.
I have a Letterboxd tag that I've used a lot, and I realized that cable is for cops and olds, but I call it accidental cable watch. That I watched all the way through is the tag.
Yeah,
which says everything I need to say. That this is the perfect movie that you like.
Yes.
Flipping through channels, like, oh crap, and you like watch it for like one scene, and then you're like, all right, I'm hooked. I'm in.
Sucks you in like Goodfellas or Heat.
Heat.
Fucking,
Yep. All those. Absolutely. So yeah, Letterboxd.
Yeah, so somebody had X-Men First Class or something like that, and I'm like, what? Okay.
That's the one where Kevin Bacon has a submarine.
Yeah, and Magneto's helmet.
It's a secret submarine, and it has a secret room inside of the secret submarine.
Inside the submarine,
it's very Austin Powers, very Austin Powers, yeah. But
didn't have discussing X-Men First Class in this episode either, but I don't hate that one. You know, like the
that one turned me off of superheroes forever. I think that was the one that just
really?
I got so mad about it. I was just like, God,
about the secret submarine room. That was the thing.
But that I could just see where we were going. Where it's like, oh, we've recast these roles as younger people, so now we can make a new trilogy to fucking just pump fucking dollars out of wallets and stuff. Anyway, instead of making a good movie like X-Men 2, maybe. I mean, fuck Bryan Singer, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I remember thinking X-Men 2 was like, this was good. I was like 18 when that came out.
It was directed by nobody. You know,
directed by no one. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, nobody directed. It's weird how they got two of them out of there. It was, by no one. It's weird.
Impressive.
Logan was a pretty. Logan was an interesting use of like X-Men characters, I guess.
I would love to see more of that type of filmmaking, where like you'd like kind of take a left field take on it. And I mean, we're not going to, but I would love to see it though.
I mean, we got the Joker, which is amazing that happened.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's part 2's coming out, and it's a musical somehow. Like, I mean,
a lot of cocaine decisions in the original Joker. A lot more cocaine decisions. It seems like in the second one.
Cocaine is like the best thing to make movies on.
All right, having nothing to do with cocaine, Letterboxd, of course, is a place for
cocaine. No,
it's a place for cocaine. Cocaine lovers.
I have multiple tags about cocaine.
People are definitely on cocaine on Letterboxd, writing reviews and stuff.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
But it's a place it's a social media site where people get to talk out with each other about the films they love. You know, maybe the films they didn't love, the films they saw while high on cocaine. Who knows? Everybody gets to have their say though. And it's not just the Siskel's and Eberts of the world. Everyone can have their say. Bottom up democracy, people. And it is best expressed for the purpose of this bit succinctly. Keep it tight. Keep it tight, folks. And this is the Letterboxd one-liners for Desperado. Let's go. El Mariachi, bless me, Father, for I have just killed quite a few men. Buscemi, no shit.
See, that was the real twist. The real twist is that he goes into the fucking confessional booth and you think he's going to confess, and it's Steve Buscemi in there.
Who is billed as Buscemi, which I love.
Yeah, with that beautiful shot of the fucking cross, like the light making the cross formation on their face and shit, which he would copy in Machete because it was so good.
That's true.
He redid it with Cheech Marin and Trejo in Machete. Anyway, go on, please.
Salma Hayek. That's it. That's the review.
That's the guy that crashed his.
I was gonna say that was the guy interviewing her on that clip.
Oh, I was gonna say that's the guy that crashed his car into the other car.
Oh yeah, yes, absolutely. Which
It's like my car's totaled, but I'm not mad about it.
day's still okay. Cool guys don't look at explosions. Hashtag hot.
True.
Hashtag hot is correct, I think, with the people in this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
something
it's Buscemi.
else.
I feel like
Buscemi is attractive in this movie, though. I mean, don't you think he's
Yeah.
like
yeah.
Tarantino is a handsome man in this movie? You know, I mean, I don't
Buscemi
know.
and Tarantino have never been hotter in anything.
Agreed. I feel like this is a hot movie. Anyway,
I feel like there was a lot of. Hold on, I'll go back. I feel like there were other walking away from explosions movies for sure, but this is one of the ones that was like it became like a
best.
thing, and one of the reasons why it's because it was one of the best.
it's
for
so
sure.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. He's pissing all over the place.
Apparently,
love
the
it.
whole
I love
dick
it.
glass, that whole thing is Tarantino just came up with that on the fly.
That's of course he did. That's
Yes.
fantastic.
He's looking at his glass, dick glass, dick glass, dick glass, dick glass.
It's weird because like he does that like every single time I ever see him like backstage on something. That's what he's saying.
Dick Glass. A plethora of guitars in this film, and not one plays Wonderwall.
It's mariachi
After all.
music. I don't know what to tell that person.
Yeah, I was gonna say wrong film, man. Give me my guitar bazooka, stat.
I like that he shows up on a church bus. It's fucking
Yeah, I know,
perfect. Yeah.
Very
They're
fleeting
like
vehicle.
it is the same church bus from the El Mariachi too, the same
Yep.
type
Oh hell yeah.
that he jumps down onto.
Well, Steve Buscemi is such a legend and doesn't need a name, so you just name him Buscemi. Facts.
It's like
Yeah.
what? It's like the fucking the Clint Eastwood, like the Man in Black, the man with no name. It's like the Buscemi with no name.
Yeah.
Where was that spinoff? Yeah. A story of a lone guitar case and the attractive people it surrounds itself with. Also, there's bullets and explosions abound.
That's kind of true.
Yeah.
The two things that if I hadn't chosen the background that I ultimately chose, the two that I have like loaded up or whatever. One of them is the mural in that church. The other one is the guitar at the end when they just leave the case behind.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Danny Trejo dials a payphone with a knife blade.
Which is so cool.
See, that's
I mean-
what Rodriguez gets it, man. I mean,
Yeah,
to have that
dude.
shit in the movie. That's what makes it put this movie over the top, you know.
It's the little things in filmmaking and those little touches and attention to detail that makes it so wonderful.
Yeah, I just wonder if that was like a move that Danny Trejo learned in prison. Like
Maybe you wouldn't think they would have knives in prison, but maybe it's Danny Trejo.
I mean, they've shivved, you know.
yeah.
Well,
You
dial
know,
your
it's
shivs.
like you know, you're threatening somebody while dialing the phone.
I dial with my toothbrush. You know.
Those are the Letterboxd one-liners for Desperado. Please follow the Chango enjoyer.
Chongo.
I'm just trying to point. That's how
I know the Chongo enjoyer.
Okay. Snap correction. Let the record show that I mispronounced the beer. By the way, we didn't even talk about the tastes like piss. That's because we piss in it, and that's not all.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I was gonna say you
sound
guys,
every time he pours it. Yeah.
You know that Tarantino would go on to make to Chongo Unchained.
There you go. Chongo enjoyer over there. If you like that Bon mod and everything else, please follow the show Moving Extravaganza on Letterboxd. He's seen worse dive bar bathrooms. So you can follow him there. I am Machine.
Just don't follow him in the bathroom.
Just don't follow him to the bathroom. No, exactly. I'm Machine Gun Guitar Case, Conan Neutron over here. You can follow me on Letterboxd. I'm watching all the highbrow stuff, the midbrow, the popular sphere. You can follow me along for the Criterion Collection. It's a good time, people. It's a good time. J. Andrew El Mundo World is straight out of Central Casting, whereas his Letterboxd feed is anything but. It is very random. He watched all the weirdest stuff, so you don't have to, or maybe so you can. Who am I to judge? He's doing it either way.
Yeah.
And you take the journey and
stop
follow
me.
him. Follow him on Letterboxd. Raygun Busch down there. Great Letterboxd user. Great Letterboxd account. Highly suggest you follow him as I do. He doesn't have a specific beat or anything other than he's a big fan of movies, which is why he's on this damn show. And yeah, you could do a lot worse than following Raygun Busch. Thank you. And El Mundo. Please take us away with plugs.
All right, you're watching us right now on YouTube, so please do those YouTube things, like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell, and of course the big ask is watch that video to the end. You get to hear that great Conan Neutron song, and that allows us to find more movie fans.
Last episode's doing pretty good numbers, right, for us?
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
and,
who
and
knew?
our
If you have Sam
subscribers-
Cedar from Majority Report on, who knew it would be a good show? Huh.
Yeah, wild.
And our subscribers have kind of, we've gotten 150 in the past week or something. It's been a jump. We really haven't jumped up in a little while. You know what I mean?
Oh, this is good.
Oh yeah.
Feels
and
good. Getting those
and
gains.
send us some super chats so we can get so we can buy ourselves a piss warm chongo.
Or we may get one for free if we remember somebody's face. And
and if you're watching us on Twitch, do those Twitch things. Subscribe. The big thing is if you have an Amazon Prime account, you can subscribe for free. Costs you nothing, but we actually get money on that end. So please help us out that way.
the Twitch thing is what the people on the cocaine decisions were doing when they made those cocaine decisions.
Yes. Yes. We're on social media. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. As Conan and I were talking about earlier, Spoutable, so you can see all my spurts.
Have you heard of this? Have you heard of this, Randy? Like this thing called Spoutable?
Yeah, it's like Twitter, but with a whale theme. So...
I thought he was making this up. I literally thought he was making this up. Like I was like, no way.
I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, and like at one point, they had
I'm trying to throw my
more...
phone into the fucking ocean sometimes.
Instead of tweets,
it's over, folks.
They were called spurts, but they changed it because like somebody finally just said, guys, spurts not so good. So now
somebody talked to a teenager and they're like, maybe we should not call it that.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Spoutable. Well,
yeah.
There you go, folks.
There you go. But you can find me there. Hive.
Re-spout Andy on Spoutable, apparently.
Yes.
Respurt.
Yeah,
Is it respurt or
me.
respout? I don't know. Who cares?
I don't know.
Please don't do that. That sounds like it's illegal in several states. Don't do
Probably is. But yeah, but no, we are seriously though. We are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, which are 3 sites that normal people have. So you can find us there. People on Spoutable are just the ones looking for a Twitter alternative.
There you go.
We have a Patreon. Please support our Patreon because one of the great things about Patreon is you get access to all of our after. If you're just not getting enough of us, if you like this banter, you can get more of that if you pay.
That's right.
And you can
niche
go back.
market.
And the best thing is if you want to see us do something like this, where we're just kind of going off and just doing our own weird thing, but with Andy Kindler, you can pay money and do that.
Yeah,
that's something you can do. And we highly, highly encourage you to do that. So if you can, please help us out over there.
There you go. So that was the extended pitch for the Patreon, for the after parties.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And of course, Conan, you have Platonic Reversal right behind you.
We got one more thing to plug first.
Oh, the live show.
Yes.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's next week. Literally a week from now.
So we're gonna be off for a couple weeks besides this because we're all gonna go to Caterwaul and help out. Throw the festival together. But
everyone on screen will be at Caterwaul.
So
There's
we're going
a
to
flyer
be
on screen, but yeah, I get it.
Okay.
everybody on this phone.
But people in the audio version didn't know that.
Yeah, that's true. Good point.
So we're gonna have a live show Tuesday. May 23rd, 8 p.m. It's going to be free. So if you're in New York City, Sanger Hall in Queens, we're going to be there. We're going to watch Mean Streets. We're going to talk to Matthew Film Guys to be up on the panel with us. We're going to try to
I believe
stream
it's Film Man. We don't have the copyright to be Film Guy.
Well, so we're going
property.
to try to stream it. I got to figure out how best to do that. But, I'm going to bring my camera to the city. So if we can't stream it, we'll have it up at some point on the Patreon probably. So we're gonna be there, we're gonna watch Mean Streets, and then we're gonna talk about it. It's gonna be a fun time, and I think everyone should go. And hopefully, if I don't sound like a complete moron reading this right now, I'm gonna cut this and use that as a promo for the
Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go. So live show,
Yeah.
Mean Streets with Matthew Film Guy. Hard to argue.
Great
with that.
movie.
Yeah.
And who knows who else might show up because
Never know.
Maybe I will. No, I'm not going to be there.
That would be impressive. Yeah, that'd be quite.
no, but I think we'll have other people from Caterwaul there.
Hell yeah.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Very cool,
Actually, yeah.
very
I
cool.
think a few of the Art Great Noise Quintet folks are going to be coming.
Yeah,
out
and I think Joe's interested.
Joe Cannon will be there. Yes.
Yes, who former guest. If while you're in this drought, go back and watch our Wings of Desire episode with Joe
That's
Cannon.
right. It's a who's who of who's been on this show. It's gonna be that show.
Yes.
A who's who of who?
Yeah, probably more accurate for most folks.
Yes, true. But
So, Platonic. Now it's me. Talk about me now.
Yes,
Yeah.
Platonic Reversal.
Yes.
You had that big episode with the guy from Slayer.
Yep, and I've had a few since then. So I had
Yes.
I had Brett Bradford from Scratch Acid and Suckling.
wanted
That
to
was a
plug
great
that
episode. And I just recently had Gareth from, speaking of Caterwaul, Gareth from USA Nails from England.
Very cool.
And that was
Who
great.
will be also playing with you on Wednesday night after the night after the live show.
True, which we should probably have a flyer for, but do not. Yes, at Vitus. We're playing Code Neutron, Secret Friends are at Vitus with USA Nails, Adira Horse, and Art Great Noise Quintet. So that's a ripper show, if I do say so myself. As someone who shall be doing the ripping, at least one quarter of it. So this is a very New York heavy part of the plugs, I guess. But if you're in New York, go to that as well. I think it's going to be a great time. I haven't played New York since 2019, or New York City anyway.
Cool.
So it'll be exciting. And of course, if you can't make it out to Caterwaul and you need some Conan Neutron music in your life.
Well, we haven't even talked about Caterwaul, really. We talked around it, but
Oh yeah, you're right. I feel like we have.
I don't know why you feel that way, but anyway, here it is.
I don't know. It's because that's what I've been doing all day, talking to Jason, who's
So
not
here-
going to be at Caterwaul.
Here's all 55 bands. 55? I don't know. Playing Caterwaul 22-3, including Chat Pile, featuring
Yep.
Raygun Busch, our guest tonight. Here,
Our
let's do
friends
a
Couch Slutter playing that day too. That's pretty cool.
Couch Slut Rip. Their set last year was insane. Yeah, so if you're anywhere remotely near Minneapolis, go see Caterwaul, 26th, 29th. It's I worked it out, and I talked about this morning on WMSC. It's like $2.50 per band. Come on, people.
Oh yeah,
That's
good
a steal.
that is a steal.
And these
Big time.
these fellas are going to be there too. So I don't know if that's a selling point or not, but if you like this show, one would imagine.
We'll be about, yeah.
Yeah, a boot if you're Canadian.
Yes. Yeah,
Are you?
we're just a shoe if you're American. There we go. Yes, and of course, if you can't make it out there and you need some more Conan Neutron music in your life, you can go to bandcamp.com/neutronfriends.
That won't work.
No.
That's not the URL.
Wait,
I don't know what comes up when you do that. I don't think so. Maybe I haven't tried it.
Neutronfriends.
Neutronfriends.bandcamp.com. Yeah.
I got it backwards. Okay. Anyways, I don't actually.
Sorry
have
that sorry that something isn't here is what it says if you type the thing that you said. So definitely do the thing I said instead.
Yeah. Do what Conan says because he knows better.
That could just be like a life ethos, really.
Maybe. Yeah, because my life ethos is if you're going to do something stupid, do it really stupid. So there you go.
There you go. There's merit to that.
Yes. But yeah, go to neutronfriends.bandcamp.com. The thing that Conan said. And
The thing that you say every show, but screwed up this time for some reason. Anyway, that's fine.
yeah, because for some reason I don't have it written down. I don't know why.
We don't know either.
I have dangerous nomenclature written down.
There
So
you
in case
go.
I forget that, I can just
That's the last
glance
EP.
down and go dangerous nomenclature off Bandcamp. It does say Bandcamp Friday, which is not this week.
It's not Bandcamp Friday anymore. That was from an earlier
No.
show. Yeah.
No. I just never took it off from the last Bandcamp Friday, but that's neither here nor there. Anyways,
Randy, this bit is always like this, by the way. This is how it always is.
Hey, I have
This
a
is part of the
podcast,
bit.
Too. I understand.
yeah.
the only reason why I do it is because nobody else was, and I'm like the
Goddamn
worst person
right.
to do it. So it just turns
Yeah.
out like this every single time.
It's never
But,
more.
yeah.
That
No
much.
worries.
No, But yeah,
and just my plugs are like 17 minutes long, so that's just
Yeah, because you
Sorry.
got like, Action Chief, which you haven't even gotten to yet. But Action Chief
Also
will be
playing
at
Caterwaul.
yes, with Joe Cannon, the aforementioned Joe Cannon.
That's true.
Spoilers.
True. Yeah, let's put it back up there. Yeah, get some.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Caterwaul run.
I actually have the actual poster. We haven't released it yet, but I have the actual poster. Maybe I'll try to pull that up while we're waiting.
Oh, I thought you meant like the real. You pull it up from the desk, the physical.
That would be pretty cool. That'd be a good physical reveal for sure.
Yeah.
Here we go. I can. Anyway, don't.
You should have gotten every.
Yeah.
You should have gotten a
I
version
was-
of it where every band you have everybody sign it, and then you.
There we go. So that's the actual.
oh.
There's gonna be printed
Nice.
versions of these at
Very
at
cool.
Caterwaul. So this is the printed poster, which is at
Sick.
Mr. Dale Flatham.
You should try to get as many bands as you can to sign it, and then try to sell off that one to like raise money or something like that.
It'd have to be on the other side because there's too much going on this one. So
Maybe
remind me
that's
to do
what
that,
you
Randy.
Sure, no
Well,
problem.
like Forrest, that's your job now. You just volunteered yourself.
Yeah, that's why you're at Caterwaul. You have to be like, hey, you
It's like-
sign this.
Yeah.
What?
It's like how I got to do plugs. Nobody was doing plugs. I suggested
else
it.
was.
We're
Hey,
like,
man,
okay, you're doing
you
plugs.
sound this poster, man.
Hey, man.
But besides Caterwaul, where can people find you, Raygun?
Chatpile.bandcamp.com and randyrulz.bandcamp.com or on Spotify or Tidal or Apple or whatever you fucking use. We're about
Is Tidal
out
still?
there.
Do people
I
still use
refuse to
Tidal?
believe Tidal exists. I don't believe it.
you
It's
know
up there with Whaler.
For
or
a
whatever.
while, Jay-Z was trying to push that shit
That
so
was-
fucking hard. He was
yeah.
on the press run where he was like, oh, I got my shit on Tidal.
Yeah,
You know,
Andy's on Whaler throwing a harpoon for a title song. Yeah, he's Andy's all over it. He's on all these things.
Yeah, so find me there. I guess I don't.
Do you have any shows besides Caterwaul coming up?
We have a show coming up. This is live, right?
Mhm.
People
Yes.
are watching. Okay, so yes, on Saturday we're playing with Cherubs, although it's sold out
yeah.
in
Yeah,
Oklahoma
yeah.
City here, and then we're off to Roskilde. Is that how you say that? The festival in Denmark. and
Yeah, I don't know. I took German, but that didn't help. For
That's
that.
Danish, but
It's Danish, yeah.
It's
yeah.
pronounced
And you
Donut.
got some. You got some. Well, you got that one show in the UK with St. Pierre Snake Invasion and Sugar Horse, right?
Yeah,
Is that the same
yeah,
show?
we're playing 2 shows in London, Arctangent Festival, then a show in Manchester, and then Core Festival in Glasgow, Scotland. So that'll be fun.
I have that idea.
We got a tour coming up that we're about to announce, so just tease that. Not announced yet. In a week,
Big things
or two.
coming.
Very
U.S.
cool.
tour.
And just Cherub, they're at Caterwaul too, right? So
Cherubs are playing Caterwaul. Yeah, they're
Fucking
Yeah,
ass.
so-
I can't
yeah.
wait to see them. Heroin Man is a terrific album. I'm excited to see Cherubs. Absolutely.
that'll be great.
That's one of the most haunting album covers I've ever seen. I mean,
It's
like-
it's pretty wild.
it's beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Yo, but speaking of Tidal, do you remember when somebody was heckling Kanye West and yelled nobody likes Tidal at him?
That's funny. I didn't know that happened.
Wait, this was I just thought of it because I haven't heard anyone mention Tidal since then.
I saw somebody posting music on Instagram from Tidal today, so people do use it.
I'm don't go by me, man.
No, I would prefer for everyone to sign up to Tidal.
Right.
To get the album on Tidal. That's what I prefer.
Nobody likes Tidal.
Yeah, but people are. Wait, who said no one likes Tidal?
I'm on Tidal. Don't worry, haters.
Wait, so you're a hater? It's a lot of people who like Tidal. What do you mean?
I don't.
You like it? He likes Tidal. I like Tidal.
That rocks. No one likes Tidal. Amazing. What a great name. Even if it's the best thing ever, just saying that when he's just so
I mean, does he think he's better than Neil Young? Neil Young failed in this a similar way.
Yeah,
you
like
know?
the freaking Pono, right? That
Yeah,
little like
absolutely.
triangle-looking thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Fail. No one likes Pono. What? What are you talking about? Everyone likes it.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Goes drive his vegetable oil powered Hummer around and run you over. Thank you.
His vegetable oil powered Zamboni.
He does have a vegetable oil powered Hummer. Does no one else know that tidbit of knowledge?
Yeah, it's him and Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, they're like. I was gonna say Zamboni buddies because Forrest poisoned that bit for me, but they are in fact Hummer buddies. Thank you, Hummer buddies, coming this fall.
Yes.
But our illustrious guest Raygun Busch. Any final thoughts you want to bring up with this movie?
I love Desperado. I recently foolishly constructed a top 100 favorite movies list ever. I think this is number 56 on it. It's on there. I just love it. I think I'm like I said, I was like 11 in 95. So this movie just hit me then. It hits me now. It's everything I want a movie to be. I love Desperado in terms of style and action and stuff. Beautiful. Aces, A+. Anyway.
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah.
Conan.
Yeah, man, this is an absolute multi-course meal of cool as hell pulp filmmaking. I love that it's a sequel, not a remake, in the grand tradition of Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2. And it manages to take everything, makes the first one great with a bigger budget and star-making turn for Banderas and Hayek. Charm and the effortless bravado elevates the ideas that were in El Mariachi into something far better. There's all sorts of cartoonish and gratuitous violence, but it's done so stylishly. It's beautifully shot, and it's one of the more deeply entertaining films of the entire decade. I think this is if you're into this kind of movie, this is about as good as it gets for me, and that's saying a lot because I am very much a heavily plotted guy, and it almost doesn't matter in this movie. It's a bloody and bullet riddled good time, people.
I wish it didn't matter in Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
Yeah, unfortunately, it does matter there, and it's. I have notes on that one. This one, no notes.
But Andy, final thoughts.
Yeah, this movie is such like a gateway drug. Like Biden's always talking about how marijuana is going to get you on crack. This got me into Hong Kong cinema. Like there's a straight line. I'm now, literally like I did a line of Hong Kong cinema right before we went on air. So there we go.
I can vouch for that.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us, and I hope you get a piss warm chongo, ready for you right after this, and come to our live show at Sanger Hall next Tuesday. We're gonna be off from this, but we're gonna be hanging out, watching Mean Streets, talking to Matthew Film Guy, and trying to figure out how to live stream it.